back to my read along channel. This is read along number 2 of January. Trying to get those 2 read alongs in every month. Today we are going to read Jacqueline Wilson's book called Cookie, another classic of mine from my childhood. We are going to read chapter 2 today, and that starts on page 13. This is all Jacqueline Wilson's own work. I'm just reading it for entertainment and pleasure. So without further ado, let's get going. Chapter 2. We always knew if Dad was going to be in a good mood, because we could hear him whistling as he parked the car in the drive and walked to the front door. He was whistling now, his silly Happy Home song. Mum breathed out slowly and smiled at me. I smiled back, licking my lips to make sure I hadn't left the tiniest trace of jam. Hello, 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 my 2 best girls, Dad called, opening the front door. Hello, Jerry, Mum called quickly. Hello, Dad, I echoed. We heard Dad taking off his shoes and putting them on a special rack by the doorstep. It was one of his many rules. All outdoor shoes must be left at the front door because we mustn't risk scratching the polished parquet floor. Then he cleared his throat and started singing as he slid up the hole in his socks. I'm not going to sing it, guys, I'm just going to say it. Happy homes, where everyone smiles and nobody moans. He skidded into the living room, grinning at us, his arms outstretched. There's a mummy, pointing at Mum, and a daddy, pointing at himself, and a gorgeous little girl, pointing at me. So if we're happy in our home, then give us a twirl. He twirled around foolishly, his toe pivoting on the thick pile of the living room carpet. He paused. Give us a twirl, he shouted, wafting his hand in the air. Mum and I stood up immediately. Even if Dad was in a good mood like today, the slightest thing could still upset him and make him turn. Mum twirled round, holding up her skirt, and I whizzed prettily, pointing her toes. I twirled too. I whizzed round too fast, as I was in such a hurry to get it over. I managed to trip over my own slippered feet and nearly fell headlong. Whoopsie, said Dad, catching me. Dear goodness, Beauty, you're so clumsy. I think we better send you back to those dancing lessons. My ice bun turned a somersault inside my tummy. Dad had sent me to ballet lessons when I was 6. I was the oldest in the baby class. There were some tiny girls who were only 3 or 4. They were all much better at dancing than I was, and I couldn't do bunny hops. I simply landed with a bump on my bottom. I couldn't skip my arms and legs all wonky. I couldn't point my toes properly. They wanted to point in, not out, and I couldn't twirl gracefully to save my life. I stuck it out for a year until Miss June, the dancing teacher, tactfully told Mum that I didn't seem to be enjoying my dancing classes, so perhaps it might be better if I tried another hobby. Please don't make me do ballet again, Dad, I said. Don't you want to learn dance like a little fairy, said Dad. Fairy elephant more, like I said. Dad chuckled and ruffled my hair. He sat down in his big leather armchair and then pulled me onto his knee. He pulled Mum onto his other knee, as if we were both his little girls. Hey, Jerry darling, did you get all the planning permission for the Winter Meadows project? Mum asked. I'm still working on it, but it looks very likely, said Dad. That's what we need. 200 spanking new, top-of-the-range happy homes with river views. They'll make our fortune. Dilly, you wait and see. You've already made our fortune, said Mum. I've worked hard for my girls, my wife, my daughter, Dad paused, and my ex-wives and my layabout sons. Mum gave me a little frown. That meant, don't say a word. I was fascinated by the first Mrs. Cookson and the second Mrs. Cookson and 3 half-brothers, Jerry Jr., Mark and Ryan, when we'd all met Jerry's junior wedding and Grandma's funeral. I'd loved that feeling, part of a great big family. But Dad didn't seem to like any of them anymore. He especially didn't like giving them any money, even though there seemed 2 heaps to go round. The first 2 Mrs. Cooksons had their own happy homes, and now Jerry Jr. and his new wife Julie had their own happy home too. That makes them bloomin' lucky, Dad said. I didn't have that kind to start in life. I had to make my own money. Dad had started off working on a building site at 16. He worked his way up until he ended up buying the building firm. Then he branched out, becoming a property developer, building lots and lots of happy homes. There were starter happy homes for young couples, standard 3-bedroom happy homes for ordinary families, and deluxe 5-bedroom, 2-bedroom happy homes for rich families. We used to live in a deluxe happy home, but now we'd moved to an even bigger, fancier home, specially built for us. We had 6 bedrooms, 3 bathtubs and special wet room and a hot tub outside. I even have my own ensuite bathroom, dusty rose to match my pink bedroom with silver dolphin taps. Dad said I was the luckiest little girl in the world. He didn't know of another child anywhere who had her own ensuite bathroom. He kept asking me why I didn't want to invite any of my friends from Lady Mary Mountback for a sleepover. They could sleep in one of the twin beds with the dusty rose silk coverlets, patterned with sprigs of violets sprawled on the pink and violet velvet cushions, comb their hair at my Venetian glass dressing table and admire every inch of my ensuite bathroom. I hadn't invited anyone so far. It made me turn Dusty Rose in the face to admit it, but I didn't really have any proper friends. I did wonder if I dared to ask Rona to tea, but that would annoy Sky and make her meaner to me than ever. Maybe Rona wouldn't come anyway. I wasn't even sure if I wanted her to come myself. I'd probably feel dreadfully shy and not know what to say to her, what we would play for all those hours before bedtime. I liked reading when I was by myself, but you couldn't really read together. I liked painting, but I had to do it in the kitchen with the newspaper spread everywhere, long before Dad came home. I wasn't supposed to do any painting whatsoever in case I spilled paint on the carpets. Dad didn't even allow felt-tip pens in case I got marks on the cream sofas. I was always very careful, but Rona was a giggly girl who never sat still. What if she flung her arm out when she was painting and accidentally splattered the wallpaper? If Dad saw, he'd get into a rage whether Rona was here or not. I felt sick at the thought of Dad ranting in front of Rona. I often cried because he scared me so. Perhaps he'd make Rona cry too. Then she'd tell everyone at school. She'd definitely tell Sky because she was her best friend. I kept pretending to Dad that I'd simply forgotten to ask anyone for a sleepover. He seemed to have forgotten until this very moment. "You haven't had any of your friends to stay, Beauty," said Dad, jogging me on the knee as if I was a little baby. My heart started thudding. I nibbled my lip anxiously. "Don't do that," said Dad, lightly tapping my mouth. He frowned at my teeth. "They're sticking out more, Beauty. We're definitely going to have to get you fitted with braces." "I don't want braces," I mumbled. "You don't want to end up looking like Bugs Bunny, do you?" said Dad, pulling a silly rabbit face, making his own teeth protrude. "The dentist said to wait a year or so, darling," Mum said. "He's not even sure Beauty really needs a brace." "Nonsense. She needs perfect choppers, all the girls do," said Dad. "Anyway, who's your best friend at school, Beauty?" "I like Rona, but she's Sky's friend, not really mine," I said. "Can't you all be friends?" said Dad. "Invite them both over. What about this Saturday?" I breathed out thankfully. I can't this Saturday. That's when Rona's having her birthday party," I said. "And you're not going to this party?" "Well, she's given me an invitation." "Lovely. Well, we'd better get cracking organising a party for your birthday." I started nibbling my lip again. "Stop it," said Dad. "Yes, we'll throw a really big bumper party for your birthday for every girl in your class, all your new Lady Mary Mountback friends." "Do I really have to have a party, Dad?" I said desperately. I'm not sure about a lot of overexcited children running around the house," Mum said quickly. She knew how Dad fussed so about the carpet and the cream sofas. "We won't have them running riot here," said Dad. "We'll take them somewhere swish. Leave it to me. I'll work on it. I want my Beauty to have a really fantastic birthday." "It's ever so kind of you, Dad," I gabbled through my heart, though my heart was sinking. I had to hope he might somehow forget about it. I wasn't sure many of the girls in my class would come, especially not Sky or Emily or Arabella, or if they did, they'd all call me names the way they did in class. "What does my best girl want for her birthday present, eh?" said Dad. "I don't know." "Well, think," said Dad. He tapped my forehead. "What's going on inside that little noddle of yours, eh? I bet you've got some idea that you'd really, really like for your present." "Well, I thought so," said Dad. "Come on, what is it?" Mum leaned forward, looking tense. Dad shifted his knee, tipping her off his lap. "You go and make a start on tea, Dilly. I'm starving. Whack a steak under the grill, even you can manage that." I tried to get up, but Dad hung on to me. No, you stay and keep your old dad company, little Beauty. I want to get to the bottom of your birthday wishes. What are you pondering? I can tell you've set your heart on something." I wriggled, wondering whether I dared ask. "Come on, sweetie, no need to be shy of your old dad. What is it, eh? Have you got your eye on some outrageously expensive outfit?" "It's okay, baby. I'm used to your mum. I'll happily fork out for the junior designer doodahs of your choice, with dinky little handbag and maybe a first pair of shoes with tiny heels, yes?" "Well, actually, Dad, I wasn't really thinking about clothes." Something more expensive, eh?" "It's okay, darling. The business is doing well. You heard me tell your mum. I'm on the brink of the biggest deal yet. Do you fancy your very own little laptop or personal flat-screen telly for your bedroom? No, Dad, it's very kind of you, but I truly don't want anything like that. Then what is it? Come on, spit it out. I'll get you anything you like, my lovely. Then please could I have a rabbit? I whispered. What? Dad cupped his ear. A rabbit? I repeated. I'd really like a white one with loppy ears, but really any kind of rabbit would be. My voice trailed away when I saw the expression on Dad's face. Are you thick, Beauty? He said. I don't know, Dad, I said, not sure whether he wanted me to say yes or not. It didn't look as if I could win, whatever I said. You come on like Miss Smarty Pants, but I say you're thick, said Dad, jabbing me in the back with every word. The last jab shoved me right off his lap onto the carpet. I tried to scuttle out of Dad's way, but he caught hold of me by the wrist. Don't, Jerry, said Mum, darting back into the room. I'm not hurting her, said Dad. He deliberately loosened his fingers so that they were just like a flashy pink bangle on my arm. Am I hurting you, Beauty? No, Dad, I said. Are you thick? He said. Yes, Dad, I said. Yes, Dad, certainly. Dad, as thick as 3 short planks, Dad, said Dad, in a horribly high, squeaky imitation voice. Please let her go, Jerry, said Mum. What has she done to upset you? She's only gone and ignored one of the very basic rules of this household. This particularly luxurious house, custom-made by my own best craftsman for our benefit. I don't think it's asking much to want to take care of this lovely home. I'm not what anyone would call finicky man now, am I? Mum and I didn't dare contradict him. I just like my house to be well looked after. No scratches on the parquet, no chips on the plaster, no dirty hairs and stains on the carpet. What causes scratches and chips and hairs and stains? Beauty, do you really not know the answer? Pets, Dad, I whispered. Yes, full marks. And what has my view on pets always been? I know I can't have a dog or a cat, but I think a rabbit might be just okay, because it wouldn't be in the house, it would live in a little hutch outside. A little hutch? Where precisely? In the middle of my lawn? Those rosebuds? The patio? No, by a wall somewhere. Yes, that would really add to the classy atmosphere, rabbits in smelly hutches. What else would you like? Pigeons in cages? Ferrets scrambling in a run? Not ferrets, Jerry, they just eat the rabbits, said Mum, trying to turn it into a joke. Shut your face, Dilly, said Dad. No one's asking you. Don't talk to me like that, Jerry, please, said Mum. She tried to say it firmly, but I could see she was trembling. I'll talk how I please in my own house, said Dad. Now listen to me, Beauty. I don't mind animals on the farm or in a field. I can get very fond of winning a Gigi at a racetrack. I just won't have animals in the house or surroundings, okay? When we were peasants in the mud huts back in the old folk days, folks shared their homes with cow and goat and guard dog, but we're not peasants now, and this isn't a mud hut. This is a luxury home. Get that? Dad stuck his face right up close to me so that his head seemed horribly big. I could see the vein throbbing in his forehead, the blood vessels in his eyes, the hairs off his nostrils, the flecks of spit on his lips. He looked like a storybook ogre about to eat me up. I felt tears pricking in my eyes. I knew I mustn't cry in front of him. I always looked so ugly when I cried. My eyes screwed up my nose, ran, and my mouth went square. It always made Dad madder than ever. I mustn't cry, I said, inside my head, but the tears were already spurting down my cheeks. Go to your room right this minute, Beauty, said Mum. It's naughty of you to nag at your dad for a pet. You know the rules. I knew Mum wasn't cross with me too. She was just trying to save me. Yes, get upstairs now, Dad thundered. I was off like a shot. I was in such a hurry I tripped up on the stairs and scraped my shins, making me cry harder. I flopped onto my rose silk bed and hugged my old rag doll PJ. I had a shelf of big fancy china dolls in Victorian costume. They had ringlets and bonnets and parasols and long flounced dresses and tiny heeled boots. They were all collector's dolls and very beautiful, but I couldn't play with them properly. They just stood on their shelves and stared straight through me with their spooky glass eyes. I'd had PJ ever since I was a baby in a cot. Mum made her for me. Her eyes were crossed and her mouth was wonky and her arms and legs were uneven. I'd given her a drastic haircut when I was little, which didn't help her appearance. PJ stood for plain Jane, but I didn't mind a bit that she wasn't very pretty. Her mouth still smiled and she felt soft and she had her own special sweet smell. When I was little, I liked to suck my thumb and nuzzle my nose against her cloth cheek. It made me feel safe. I tried sucking my thumb now, holding my PJ close. I could hear Dad shouting downstairs. Poor Mum, she was getting the worst of it now. I wanted to run downstairs, turning rapidly into Super Beauty, my arms pumping, legs bounding a mile a minute. I'd floor Dad, seize Mum in my arms, and with one mighty bound, we'd soar through the open window, up and away from our happy home. And that is the end of chapter 2, guys. So the next chapter starts on chapter 29. Thank you so much for listening. Sorry, not on chapter 29, I mean page 29. That will be chapter 3. Thank you again for listening, guys. Until the next time. Bye.